In just a few days, the nodes are moving into Aries, North Node, and Libra, South Node. And whenever nodes change signs, the trajectory of human evolution changes too, collectively speaking. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. Hi, my name is Maya. I'm your astrology crone, and on this channel I talk about and I share my life wisdom as I learned it astrologically, and in the hope to help you use astrology for your own good life and how to live well. So before I go into the detail of this transit of this 18 months long chapter of our human collective evolution, I just want to say that there will be a link below for you to get a free PDF that I created, because what I'll be talking about is general. And I don't know where your particular Aries Libra axis is, which house it is in. So I created a little PDF which talks about each house. So if you are not to do with Aries, not to do with any particular transit, but like everything I'm talking about here, you apply to the house that it's happening in. And I have given you the PDF with every house described in as much with kind of key themes. And also there is a little video there within the PDF where it shows you how to work with listening to someone talk about transits and then how you apply it onto your chart. So if that's something of interest, if you're early astrology or just would like to have this, then check below in the description. Okay, so the nodes are moving, the nodes are still in Taurus and Scorpio, and they're moving into Aries and Libra, so Aries North Node and Libra South Node on 17th of July 2023, wherever, well, it could be day or earlier or later, depending on your location, your geographical location. And they will be there until, they will be in those two signs until 12th of January 2025. So they always, like I say, stay 18 months in the sign, in those two, in two signs. And those are chapters, evolutionary chapters. During these changes, during those 18 months rather, we are collectively, and you will notice those themes are popping up, like you're sharing those experiences with other people, like those are the things you relate to, like, oh, you're having that experience too, or you're seeing groups of people, certain demographics, certain cultures, certain communities or whatever, like exhibiting this path, this journey, right? And wrestling with the South Node themes and the North Node themes and moving towards the North Node and desiring that North Node and all that. So, but it's collective, like I say. So, and you will have it in your personal chart, obviously, somewhere you will have Aries and Libra. And so that, and then any planets you have in either of those signs or in Capricorn or Cancer and Cancer, you will be, every time those personal planets touch the nodal axis, watch for those. Those are like times when you are course correcting or checking in with yourself whether you are aligned with what's happening, where you're headed, right? Are you aligned with where you're headed? Now, of course, you could be having major transits of other kinds, like Saturn return or Pluto conjunct any of your personal planets, or squaring, or Uranus or whatever, right? And they can often overtake in terms of their importance and weight those nodal changes. But this is like an added layer. It can be more subtle than the major transits happening to your personal planets. But yeah, if you have cardinal placements this year, these next 18 months are going to be particularly important to you for any cardinal placements in your chart. So those areas in your chart will be particularly important in terms of your evolution. Okay, and you will be that way contributing to the collective evolution. So let's talk now the nodes and what's happening with those 18 months. Well, not a lot, just is the headline. Okay, I'm being silly, but in a way, yes. What I mean by that, there won't be any major transits happening during this time. And by major and transits, I mean squares to the nodal axis. And by major, I mean by either Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. None of these 5 heavyweights are going to be squaring the axis. And that is those times, and if you just think of 2020 when we had Saturn square in the nodes, and think of this summer potentially for you, we're in it, so and watch my previous video, which I'll link below. When any of those 5 heavyweights square the nodal axis, we are feeling it, even if it's nothing. This is collective, so both are transits, right? So, but we are feeling it because those are transpersonal. Jupiter is not transpersonal, and even some would say that Saturn isn't, but I would say it is. Well, it's both. It's like personal and transpersonal. And when I say transpersonal, the importance of that word is really that it signifies the importance for us individually as units of the collective. But it is like how we individually work with those big planets, those big archetypes, those biggest archetypes, right? It's how we are making our mark in the world. It's how we are contributing to this world. It's how we are making ourselves belong to this world and its own evolution, right? So that's why they're like most important to me when I work with astrology. So none of that is happening. None of that is happening, which to me signifies that we are given a blessing. Like there isn't much that we need to worry about. Like we can just focus on the axis as opposed to worrying about the other cardinal signs. And I would even go as far as to say that since we had this mega conjunction in 2020, oh, I meant to say 2020. No, that's fine. Ignore this. So in 2020, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter conjunct in Capricorn. I think we have been in this, and Pluto has been in Capricorn for the last, I don't know, many years. I think we have worked through the cardinal archetypes enough. So I think that's partly why we are given an easier ride with this cardinal axis or nodal axis, right? However, there is one transit that I think is just, because, yeah, I'm really excited about, and I think it's kind of like about time. And that's interesting because, okay, let me just tell you what the transit is, right? It's Chiron will be conjunct, or rather, well, yeah, Chiron and North Node will conjunct. So the Aries North Node will conjunct Chiron in Aries mid-February 2024. So we have about 6 months till that perfects. So it gets like, and so these next 6 months are super important. Now, why, when I said about time, why that's important, like why I felt like I'm glad I'm alive when this is happening, and it would have been, well, maybe not, but is because that last time that could have happened, and it probably happened, I didn't check, but I imagine it would. I'm not best with numbers. I have to look at things. I'm great with astrology, but when I'm having to think on my feet, like, was the transit then and there? I need to see it. Anyway, so I haven't seen this, but 50 years ago, this would have happened. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it did happen at some point because Chiron was in Aries 15 years, 50, right? Not 15, 50 years ago. So this is mega important. Some of you weren't even alive then. And most of you who are not, well, not who weren't alive then, would not have Chiron in Aries. But that's why we who have Chiron in Aries are here to impart our wisdom. Right, so there's so much. I mean, I have so much content on Chiron, so I'll try to link some of the good ones. But by all means, I haven't got that many videos on my YouTube. So just look for, if you watch all of them, they'll be talking about Chiron themes directly or indirectly. So I want to focus on one in particular, given that, you know, time limited and all that. So let me first preface all of this that I'm about to talk about by this one statement statement you want to take away for you, for your personal astrology and just for astrology, which is that whenever we have a planet in our chart, natally, that is conjunct our North Node, right? That is like a permission slip. It's like a blessing. It's like, how did I put it here? Seal of approval from the universe to do that planet or planets, depending what you have there. Could be an ascendant or IC, like a point or an asteroid or whatever, right? And we have it's a permission. Now, the reason it's a permission is because typically Well, in fact, in every sense, in every case, our north node is something we are hesitant about. Sometimes less than others, depending on your personal chart. But we're always a bit hesitant. It's like, do I know it? Lacking confidence, right? South node we know too well, but the north node we can know it, and we can remember that we know it, but it's that memory is faint, and what we remember isn't enough to make us feel so confident, because nodes are the moon, they're the nodes of the moon, sorry, the ones I'm talking about when we talk about nodal axis. Whenever I talk about, certainly, every planet has its nodal axis, has its nodes, and therefore nodal axis. But when we, majority, traditionally, conventionally, in astrology, speak of nodal axis and nodes, we mean the nodes of the moon, and moon is memory. And so south node is something we remember like that, like almost like it's us, like it's our life. Even though technically speaking, astrologically technically speaking, it's our past life and at best our very early years. But we certainly remember it, like those stories when kids that lived, children that remember their past lives. These are fascinating stories. At their age, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they forget. We forget. Some never even remember their early age, but some do. Anyway, that's a south node. So we actually remember it. We have all done our north node in some way or another. But it's the memory of it in this lifetime that we haven't got much of. Always less than a south node. So that's the hesitance piece. So that's why I'm saying it's a permission slip. It's like we need to be told it's a permission slip, because otherwise we are a bit, do I really want to go there? What to know, right? So remember that for any planet you have on your north node, it's okay. It's okay. You should do it. You need to do it, and do it like with all your life and zest. And as you hear me speak this, and if you look at your chart, you will find that when you look at a planet, it is something you actually really want to do. You really, really want to do. You're dying to do it, but you fear and all that stuff, right? So that's why I say it's a permission slip. So when we have it collectively, so this is now the transits of the nodes that are moving into Aries and Libra in a few days, will be in February, will be conjunct Chiron. So for us, all of us, this is a permission slip to do Chiron in Aries. Now, Chiron in Aries, like I say, it's a huge topic for me. And it is a huge topic. It's a super important archetype. But I will talk about here just one part of it, because it particularly relates to Libra. And it's to do with relationships. And so when a North Node in Aries conjunct Chiron in Aries, we have a permission to be who we are in relationships. Now, this is a clincher. This is the deal breaker, because I don't know, I'm sure you'll agree with me. If you lived long enough, or maybe even if you haven't, if you're very young, great. I'm so excited for you. Is that, it's easy to be you when no one's watching, or when no one is, like if you're at an airport. I always used to use this example, like I love it. So at the airport, no one knows you're traveling alone, right? I mean, you just are you. At least I always felt I was my most self at the airport because no one knows me. And if I drop a clanger, I might even not say sorry because I don't realize. And then I don't have to face the person, see them ever again for them to tell me that I dropped a clanger or something and that they felt upset. So I feel terrible, blah, 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 right? I just was free to be who I am and how I am. And it mostly actually was the most wonderful time for others as well. But it's because no one knew me. So it's easy to be who we are when no one's there, when we haven't got an actually established relationship with someone. The moment, Libra, right? The moment we do, that's where it all goes wrong. Now, compromise is one of the words that Libra is associated with. And in our old paradigm, which is, I'll even start, well, it's kind of like before Pluto in Aquarius, but I might just even go as far as to say 2027, which is, by then Pluto is in Aquarius already for 3 years. And which is when this is human design language. I don't want to go into it, but I'll link a couple of videos about 2027, meaning one of mine and one of specifically human design related. But there is a shift towards a new paradigm, like the new human, if you like, literally. That's the prediction, that's the story. And so what does that mean? the new paradigm relationships is that versus, in terms of compromise is toxic. I know I said it, and I don't mean to offend, or I don't enjoy offending per se, but I do enjoy making you think and making you sit up. And even if it's being a trigger is a signpost to something that wants to be seen and heard by you if you've been triggered, right? And so it's toxic only because it assumes that we cannot be who we are and true to ourselves. We have to negotiate, like, okay, I won't do this because you don't like me to do that, or to be that person, or to blah, blah, blah. Because, like I say, you don't like me, so I won't be that. And then you do the same for me in this, that, right? So it's this negotiating that is like portioning ourselves, like, okay, that's unacceptable in this context, and that other thing is unacceptable, right? That's why it's toxic. Now, the medicine of Chiron is what can help us be ourselves uncompromisingly in relationships. And that medicine is to understand that Chiron, particularly in Aries, because it's about relationships, it's about, so Aries is conflict, Aries is rejection, Aries is no. That's the word, no. My niece is rising Aries. She's a Capricorn, but she's rising Aries with Uranus on her ascendant. And I mean, everything is no. And I'm telling her parents, like, it's okay. She'll grow out of it. She'll learn. It's like, it's just, Aries just wants to cut, just doesn't want the other. I mean, yes, for fun, but not to connect, or not to be meshed, and not to, it's just, it's a no. Aries is a no. Aries is a confrontation, separation. It thrives on that opposition, right? So if you're saying yes, I'll say no, or maybe the other way around. If you say no, I might say yes as well. But it's every time it just wants to do its own thing, go away, right? And so Chiron medicine in Aries in particular, or rather I should say first Chiron medicine and then wise, then okay, I'll do it this way. So Chiron medicine is essentially knowing, understanding what Chiron is, which is hypersensitivity. And this is something that I'm going to credit my absolute favorite astrologer, Tom Jacobs. I'm going to link his, if I find the video about Chiron. But he talks about hypersensitivity. That it's like having antennas. He had a download. He talks to various entities and all that. He had a download about Chiron, and it was that hypersensitivity. That it's like having antennas that are just picking up stuff. So imagine that. It's like, if you think of Chiron like that, it was a game changer for me. Absolutely a game changer, because then I realized it's like that was my permission to understand that what I'm feeling is not my feelings. They are my feelings in the sense that I'm feeling it, but I'm feeling someone else's feelings. So what I mean by that, when we're hypersensitive to something, and this is not highly sensitive people, I mean, it could be, I don't like, I made a face because it's, actually, I'm not going to go there. That could be a whole other tangent. So when we're so sensitive, we can sense everything that's happening with the other person. And so in Aries, with the North Node in Aries, but actually Chiron in Aries, so the sensitivity is then about rejection, about no. So we hear so loudly whenever someone disagrees with us, whenever someone is in opposition to us, whenever someone doesn't like us, all the Aries, like, stuff that it's painful, right? We are, maybe not as, it's like, how we are focused on the negative, right? When something bothers us, right? We won't be bothered so much about the positive because it's positive, right? So, but I'm saying this so that you don't think that Aries is all this other stuff. All this stuff I'm saying, no, Aries is all the great stuff as well. But these are the kind of the problematic, or the painful rather, parts of Aries. But painful because it's painful for us, right? So anyway, so hypersensitivity is like you're in a relationship and you're basically so, with a Chiron in Aries, you're so sensitive to that person not liking you, having a rejection, towards you, being, rejecting something about you, saying no to you. Now, a lot, because it's hypersensitivity, like 2/3 of that is nothing to, it's not even directed at you, or they're not even aware of it. So they're not acting on it. They're not like owning it. They're not saying, they're not claiming it because they wouldn't want to claim it, because they don't want to disagree with you, because they don't think that they disagree with you, because on one level they don't, right? But because you're sensing all the stuff underneath it, but it's theirs. It's their stuff. And it's coming from their, everything that we are is just, and everything however we are with other people, it's how we are with ourselves. So it's all about them. All that you're sensing, all the negativity, it's really their negativity. And so that was the permission. So that my hypersensitivity is sensing all the stuff that's going on for them, but it's nothing to do with me, even if it seems like it is, because that's what one's negativity is, rejection, no's, because you are, it's your no. It's not my no, right? So with Chiron in Aries, you're sensing, so your permission is to allow for that to be happening, and to know that you're just sensing too much, you're just hearing too much. It's like being reading someone's diary. Like, would you, I don't know, it's like private, right? It's like you have access to someone's most private thoughts and feelings, and they're all about them, essentially. So that's the piece that, because the wisdom, the truth, if you like, of relationships is that we can only be good with someone else as much as we can be good with ourselves. Like, so our relationship with others are really just a mirror of our relationship to ourselves. So in that sense, it's not personal. But Chiron, with those hyper antennas, with that hypersensitivity, wherever we have Chiron, we have that hypersensitivity, the awareness that you just can't not be aware of. It's like you can't unsee it and unhear it, because that it's like having, it's too loud, right? But it's not yours. So that's the ultimate permission. First permission is that all those insecurities that you pick up and then identify with in relationships with others about yourself, right, are really their insecurities. So you have to allow for this to sink in, to really become your motto in relationships, that if you're feeling it, it's not yours, but it's particularly if you have Chiron in Aries, obviously, or in the first house, or in the seventh house, or conjunct Venus, that it's not yours. So that's the first permission, to actually not take it on. So that's the first permission, right? The second permission is to be honest about yourself. Like, to be honest, full stop, just to be honest about everything and anything relevant. I mean, not just, just relevant stuff to do with the relationship with, or with the other person. Now, I know this sounds too good to be true, too easy to be true, and it's like, oh, easier said than done. And yeah, sure, it's easier said than done, but trust me, I have practiced this, well, unwittingly and then intentionally all my life, and it's doable, easily doable. If you want to work with me on this, you can, there's a link below. Yeah, I can definitely help you with this. So, just looking at my notes. Yes, so easily done. Said and done, rather. So here's how you can do it, how you can help yourself with this. So the reason why being honest in relationships is difficult is because of the backlash. Now, so the how to get better at it, or how to remove that fear, or rather the difficulty, how to remove the difficulty, right, is to remove the backlash. So how do you remove the backlash? Now, you can't ever fully remove it, meaning you might, but that's not on you. It's like the other person, you can't control other people, but you can control yourself. And this is what you do. You look at your motives. That's it. This is a story. This is Mars, right? This is Aries, Mars, but also Pluto, and that's a completely different video another time. But ultimately, my point there being is that there is always astrology wisdom, which is really archetypal wisdom, which is really Jungian psychology, which is really the truth of the cosmos, right? And so astrology is just one word of calling it that way, and it's kind of neatly packaged in your chart. That's why astrology. But anyway, so and just to verify it, if I'm not convincing enough. So your motives will tell you whether it's something you should be honest about, and how to be honest about it. So what are your motives? Why do you want to be honest? Why? That's it. That's all you need to ask yourself. Why do you want to be honest about this? And what you'll find, I'll give you just one example, and you'll find this if it's your example, I suppose. But in mechanics of it, you will recognize it for other examples of yours, which is that if your motive is to control the other person, it won't go down well. That's where you get a backlash. So this could mean like, well, I'm going to be honest with them because I need them to know how much they're upsetting me, so they will stop upsetting me. No. No. I mean, depending on your relationship, if you're the dominatrix in it, if you're the dom and they're the sub, they might just go, yes, darling. But, or if it's a friend, similarly, they may, the dom sub works there as well. Right, you get what I mean. But and if that's consensually, you're both happy with that, great. Like, why not? Two adults, absolutely. That's the only rule in my life. I was talking to my husband the other day about that. Like, really anything goes as long as it's consensual. I mean, truly anything goes as long as it's consensual. I think just kind of like sleeping in one of my biggest values. So it's the motives. Like, what are your motives for being honest? And if it's to control, so you need to then refine that. So why do you want them? So that's a conversation with yourself. So why do you want them to stop being a certain way? Because you don't like that about them. Why do you not like that about them? Because actually you are like that. Right? So then you get to your actual reasons. And then, so what do you do about that? Go to therapy, hire me. Maybe even talk to them about it. But why would you? Like, why would you talk to them about it? Like, again, not as a way, I know I said it with a way that it might just go, why would you? Can't repeat it. How did I say it? But like, sometimes that can be a leading question to say, why would you? Of course you wouldn't, right? No, I don't mean like that. I mean like literally, why would you? Like, what is your reason to do that? So always be clear and then clean about your reason before you go honest on someone. And that's, trust me, I mean, like I say, it's truly one of, as you can see, this video flows. I mean, I know half an hour, but I don't care. It's just like, this is so important. And it just comes out of me. It's like my life's work. And I still struggle. And I struggle literally sometimes like, fuck, I've done it and I'm now, But other times I'm like, literally like, I know I'm being wrong and I'm still doing it. It's just because it's easier that way. And I'm just imperfect. And wonderfully imperfect. Okay, so let me wrap up. We have until February 2024, mid-February, when Chiron in Aries will meet with North Node in Aries, which will be a culmination, which will be the, everything I have talked about now will have been, you will have graduated in that way of being. Because any conjunction to North Node of any planet is a seal of approval to do that planet. It's the permission slip to do that planet fully, totally. And the two permission slips that I have outlined here in this video for Chiron, that you have regarding Chiron in Aries, is that just it's okay to not take on other people's emotions, particularly the negative ones about you, because they don't say a word about you, they say everything about them. And then that can take us to the next permission, which is to be honest. It's a permission slip to be honest, but in order to avoid backlash, which is the reason we fear being honest, and it's how to be honest well and healthily. And this is okay, I'll say that afterwards, is to look at your motives for your honesty. So why are you being honest, right? And if the answer is clean, then go ahead and be. And if it isn't, then don't. What I've just realized is that I haven't actually given you an example of a clean answer of being honest. Let me think. Okay, there's so many examples, and I'm essentially just gonna summarize the essence of them all, the root of it, the model, which is that it has to be about you. That's all it is. It's like, and that's again Aries piece. It's like, be honest if it's just about speaking about you. So it's not so that yes, you don't do something you don't want to do, but it's because you don't want to do it. There's nothing wrong with the thing that you would be doing in itself, right? So just a simple maybe example, or silly example in a way, I don't know, is that so your lover wants to take you out to a place, or or maybe even friends, like your boyfriend's friends, and you don't like one particular person or something, or you don't even enjoy, or you don't like doing what they do, or something like that. So it's not about like it's not about them, it's not about the activity, it's about saying, I don't enjoy this. It just like makes me feel like I'm bored, or it just doesn't really, I don't like it. It's the, but you will know, you will know that that's just it. You just don't like something, and you will know when it's not personal for someone, when it's not about someone else other than yourself, right? And so you reiterate that it's just to do with me. It's all great. I can see you're all having fun. You love me. So if you, depending on the relationship you have, you might wanna. By now, me and my husband don't need to do all that pampering around each other, because we are good after decades together. But in the earlier stages, yes, we did, like reassuring the person that it's nothing to do with them, and it's like it's everything's great. It's just that you just don't like that and you don't want to do it. And so then you will still, and this is what I meant when I said backlash might still not be eradicated. But at least you've done your part, and this is that so the person might still feel insecure because they're insecure, right? So that's what I mean. So then the second permission comes in, that you can just not, you have a permission not to take that on, to not take that insecurity as your insecurity. You will feel it because Chiron in Aries is like that, or like I say, if you have natally Chiron and Venus together, you will know what I mean. But it's not yours. So the second permission comes in. Okay. On that note, I think I'm going to end this video. Let me just see if there's anything else that wants to come through. But otherwise, I think this is it. No, that's it. I think that's it. Well, I thoroughly enjoy talking about this, because this is like I thrive on this whole Aries piece. It's like, anyway, so I hope the transmission did all kinds of goodies for you too as well. And if you want to work with me, particularly with your Aries placements, that would be an absolute pleasure and joy. I have a link below how to, if you're a new client, and if you're an old client, you know what to do already. But if you're a new client, this is my form, how to apply, how to book time with me. And so yeah, just check the description of this video below, and hit me up with your thing, right? Which you'll see what it is. Okay. Oh my God, it's so exciting. I'm so excited about this nodal axis, and the fact that we have all the biggies have clear the way for us. Like, we are so supported, and we just need to do this Chiron and Aries piece. And it is a toughie, I get that, but just keep coming back to this video to remind yourself how easy actually it is, or how to do it. Okay, take care.